David Ornstein confirms Bournemouth fear losing Antoine Semenyo £65 million clause opens in January, and Spurs are planning a lightning-fast move. Welcome back to Tottenham News Today channel. Tottenham have been thrust into the centre of one of the most explosive transfer stories of the winter after David Ornstein revealed the full details of Antoine Semenyo's release clause, and it is a figure that has electrified the corridors at Hotspur Way. Bournemouth inserted a £65 million clause, active only in the opening stretch of the January window, and it is now seen inside Tottenham as an opportunity too good to ignore. For a player performing at Semenyo's current level, the price is being described as accessible, manageable and a potential bargain. When compared to modern Premier League valuations, Ornstein's report goes further, stating that Bournemouth's hierarchy already accept that keeping Semenyo through January will be close to impossible. The Ghanaian forward has privately told people within his circle that he wants the move immediately, not in the summer, but now while his form is peaking and his stock is soaring. Those around the player believe he sees Tottenham as the perfect next step, a club willing to hand him a guaranteed starting role in one of the most dynamic leagues in world football. Liverpool longtime admirers of Semenyo are now viewed as highly unlikely challengers. After their heavy spending in the summer, there is real doubt that they would sanction another major attacking investment halfway through the season. And even if they did, Semenyo knows the reality. Competition for minutes at Anfield is brutal. At Tottenham, however, the path is clear. Thomas Frank needs a powerful, explosive wide forward immediately, and Semenyo would walk into the starting 11 from day one. Tottenham's interest dates back months. Spurs even attempted a £50 million bid last summer, only to see Bournemouth shut the door, unwilling to lose yet another key figure from their squad. But now the situation has changed completely. The clause changes everything. There is no negotiation, no back and forth, no inflated valuation, only a simple activation that forces Bournemouth to accept and scramble for a replacement before the deadline. Semenyo's performances this season have only amplified the urgency. 6 goals and 3 assists in his first 11 Premier League matches have placed him among the league's most decisive wide forwards. His pace, ball carrying, aggression and end product have turned him from a promising talent into one of the most feared transitional threats in the division. Scouts across Europe have labelled his start to the season outrageous, unignorable and beyond projection. Inside Tottenham, the feeling is that this is the moment. An elite athlete in peak form, a release clause that opens only briefly, and a player actively pushing for the move. Spurs know they must act fast before the opportunity disappears or a rival attempts a late hijack. And for Semenyo, the decision seems increasingly inevitable. Tottenham offer him the platform, the minutes, and the responsibility that he craves. The countdown to January has already begun. Spurs have received a significant push in their chase for one of La Liga's most electrifying attackers, as fresh developments surrounding Takefusa Kubo have dramatically changed the landscape ahead of the January transfer window. What began as quiet admiration from the scouting department has now escalated into a full-scale pursuit, and those close to the negotiations believe the door is opening wider than at any stage before sources in Spain insist that Kubo's £52 million release clause remains the decisive factor. Any club willing to trigger it immediately bypasses Real Sociedad's stance, and Tottenham are fully aware that this figure is both steep and time-sensitive. Yet behind the scenes, the more crucial element is the player's mindset, and this is where Spurs have received their most encouraging news so far. Journalist Pete O'Rourke, speaking to Football Insider, explained that Kubo is no longer fully convinced that staying in San Sebastian serves his progression. Real Sociedad's sluggish start to the campaign has frustrated several key players, and Kubo is said to be questioning whether the club can match his ambitions. He has been central to their recent success, but with results stuttering, the 24-year-old is increasingly tempted by a move to England, where he believes his style of play would flourish. Tottenham's interest has been long-standing, but now the internal feeling is that the Japanese star would seriously consider a switch to North London. His ability to operate seamlessly on either wing, combining explosive acceleration with precision in tight spaces, makes him an ideal fit for Thomas Frank's system. Spurs are desperate for a wide forward who can deliver goals, create chances, and dictate transitions. Kubo ticks every category. However, admiration alone will not secure the deal. The £52 million clause is non-negotiable, and Spurs know that activating it in January will require bold and decisive action. It is precisely the sort of situation the club has previously hesitated in, but with the Premier League table tightening and the squad lacking a true difference maker on the flanks, the pressure is building internally to take the leap. Complicating matters further is growing interest from elsewhere in England. Liverpool have monitored Kubo for over a year. Attracted by his versatility and pressing intelligence, Aston Villa, backed by a coach who values dynamic wide attackers, have also been quietly gathering information. The competition is real, and Tottenham cannot assume they lead the race, not unless they act faster than the rest. Even so, Spurs believe that the promise of a starring role in a side being rebuilt around technical creativity could give them an edge. A transfer is far from straightforward, but for the first time, those close to Kubo acknowledge that he is genuinely open to leaving Spain in January. And now it comes down to whether Tottenham are prepared to meet the price and move before their rivals step in. Tottenham's chase for Rangers midfielder Nicholas Raskin has taken a dramatic turn, and the situation is becoming far more complicated than anyone at Hotspur Way would have hoped. What initially looked like a straightforward January push for a dynamic, hard-running midfielder has now hit a major obstacle, and the name at the centre of it is new Rangers boss Danny Roll's Spurs recruitment team, fully aware of their need for more bite and depth in the centre of the pitch, have identified Raskin as a player capable of injecting urgency, aggression and real control into Thomas Frank's midfield team talk, revealed that Tottenham are more than prepared to enter a multi-club battle involving several Premier League sides and top European outfits to secure the Belgian's signature. But now, according to a fresh update from Football Insider, the new Rangers manager is extremely reluctant to sanction the sale of one of his most influential players midway through the campaign. And this is where the plot thickens. Rangers, financially speaking, would not be entirely opposed to a January sale if the right offer arrived. The idea of cashing in and reinvesting is firmly on the table at board level. Yet Roll, already working to rebuild momentum and identity within the squad, sees Raskin as absolutely core to his structure. Losing him now would be a blow he is unwilling to accept. Journalist Pete O'Rourke has added even more context to the growing transfer saga. Speaking to the outlet, he made it clear that Rangers are bracing themselves for aggressive interest in the Belgian international once the window opens. But the club's preference, shared strongly by their head coach, is to delay any sale until the summer, when they would have more time and flexibility to source a replacement. O'Rourke explained that Raskin's resurgence under Roll, highlighted by 3 consecutive Scottish Premiership victories, has only strengthened the manager's determination to keep him interest from England and beyond dates back to the summer window. And there is no doubt that scouts from several major clubs have continued tracking him closely. Rangers expect more inquiries, more pressure and more bids, but their stance is clear. Unless an extraordinary deal arrives, they want to postpone any departure. For Tottenham, the message is equally clear. Landing Raskin in January will require not only a convincing financial package, but also enough leverage to persuade Rangers to break their manager's plans mid-season. Roll may understand the business reality, but he is fighting hard to keep one of his key performers, and Spurs now find themselves at the centre of a tug-of-war that could stretch deep into the final days of the window. That's all for today's update. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with everything Tottenham, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Don't forget to drop a like and share this video with other Spurs fans. Together we can keep growing the Tottenham News Today community. Thanks for watching, and as always, come on you Spurs!